Texas State beats Troy. Finally, it's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, Texas State with a rather, I'm going to say sloppy 38-17 victory over Troy. Troy going with their second and third string quarterbacks. Tucker Kilcrease got the start. Matthew Caldwell came in for at least one series, maybe two, and then they stuck with Kilcrease for the rest of the game. And first of all, also, okay, we said the score, 38-17, Texas State. The Bobcats are good, all right, but they are a risk-reward defense. Troy had 295 yards last week against ULM. This week, 331 against Texas State. Something not right about that team. They should be better. I don't know if they should play better. It's on the road, so that's impressive. As I always say, win on the road is a win on the road. But they just seem a little bit sloppy. They did poke out the ball at the end of the first half that saved a touchdown. Would have made it a 28-17 ball game. Now Texas State gets the ball to begin the second half. All they got was a field goal, but all of a sudden you may have a game. I don't know. There's something not quite right about Texas State. It's my first good look at them when I'm not doing anything else. Although, oh my goodness, the New York Mets. That's a different lockdown. But basically just watching the football game. And, you know, Jordan McLeod had a solid game, right? 20 of 29, 252, 3 touchdowns, the 2 interceptions. A little fluky. He's under pressure the first time. I think he may have thrown it off of one of his own guys' helmets. And then this is not going to go over well on the Sunbelt. He threw one at the end of the ball game. It was like 3rd and 7 with 30 seconds left to go. And they're trying to run up the score. Now, if you do that with a backup quarterback, someone who's just trying to get some, reps in, it's one thing. You're doing it with the starting quarterback. You've already won the football game. I love me some G.J. Kinney. I really do. I love the swagger. I love the take Texas back. I love the winning. I love the scoring. I love the aggressive defense. I don't like going for it inside my own 25-yard line, but that was last week's ball game. But somewhere along the way, you do have to not try to run the score up in the last seconds of a game that you've already won. I don't know what you're trying to prove to people. Maybe to get Jordan McLeod a second Sunbelt Player of the Year award. He's going to have his work cut out for him in that one, right? Because Barnett and Gio Lopez may be in the mix there at least. But it was just a little bit sloppy. It wasn't as a clean and crisp game as you'd like. And I'm not one of those guys who thinks, you hear that, we're looking for a complete 60-minute game. Well, that's really hard when the other team's looking for the same thing, right? I've never bought that whole, we need to play a whole game. I don't mind you getting stopped. I don't think you should score every single time. But it just felt like, what this game felt like? Like Texas State knew they were going to win it. And it didn't matter how hard they played, I guess. Is that? And Jordan McLeod, very interestingly, he had some big time plays. Oh, by the way, he also ran for a big touchdown. Hold on a second. I didn't get that in there. He had a 42-yard touchdown run to go along with his 252 yards of passing. Ismail Mahdi, only 12 carries, 36 yards, did score a touchdown. Torrance Burgess Jr. Did the bulk of the carrying, although he had a fumble, 12 carries, 85 yards, 7.1 average. Cole Wilson, 77 yards receiving. Jaden Williams, 73 yards receiving. Joey Hobart, 45 yards receiving. He led the team in catches with 6. They tried to set him up on a couple of wide receiver screens that did not work very well. So let me see if I can see some of these throws from McLeod, because they were the touchdown passes. A couple of them were big-time plays, and they were really on the money. After a roughing the punter penalty, Jordan McLeod pass complete to Cole Wilson for 51 yards. That was awesome. The second touchdown was, put out there, one of those fade plays that I really don't like. And Jaden Williams made a great catch in the end zone. And then I think there was another long touchdown pass. Jordan McLeod, 28 for Joey Hobart, 28-yard touchdown pass. Maybe thought it was a little bit longer. But I also thought he had a solid game, right? He had a solid game. I thought there were also some passes like over the middle that were behind the receivers. And the receivers actually making good catches. That's how you get hurt. Also, that's how you could turn a 10-yard pass into a 30-yard touchdown. So Jordan McLeod had some nice passes. He did. Again, he played well. I guess I was looking for a little bit more of a dominating performance, because it just felt, I don't want to say they were lazy, is not the right word, lackadaisical, maybe not focused is what it was, because, early on they were up 14. Was it 14-0 first 2 possessions? I think it was 2 out of 3 possessions. Troy punted. Texas State got a touchdown. Troy punted again, and then Texas State went 3 and out. Troy actually fumbled, and Texas State had a touchdown. It just felt like Texas State knew they were going to win the ball game. Texas State knew it wasn't going to be very close. Some of us needed that 14 points, waiting until it was 13 and a half, right? When I did it yesterday, it wasn't 14. But by the time we heard that Goose Crowder wasn't playing and put the money on it, and went up to 14, that's a tough line. It's better than 14 and a half, I guess. And we cashed in. But that's not what I'm saying. The way I'm looking at it, and I don't know if college football is more week to week than the NFL. Everyone always says it's a bunch of kids playing. But if Texas State wants to beat the Cajuns, they're going to have to play better than that, is what I'm saying. If I'm the Cajuns looking at that film, and someone was, right? There are openings galore, right? They blitz all night. Now you got to pick up the blitz. They are a risk-reward defense. It is the first time in 12 tries that Texas State beats Troy, and they've never beaten the Cajuns either. So they got that first one out of there by beating Troy. And now last year they should have beaten them, and they could not finish it off. Cajuns with a nice comeback. Zan Chris leading that, among others. Now the Cajuns will have to go to San Marcos to play. Long time, and it's a few weeks away. I think it's actually at the end of the month. It's like the 29th. They both play on Thursday, the 10 days before, as it happens to be. Then they get a big Saturday night, and I think it's already on ESPNU. And that'll basically, again, barring injury or some wacky ball game at that point, it's probably going to be determining the Western Division champ for the Sun Belt. And if you are the Cajuns with only one loss, it's going to be tough to get in. It's going to be tough to get into a playoff. But, boy, you could start being ranked anyway if you only have the one loss, although it is at home. And it is Tulane, so Tulane's pretty good. Again, impressive win. Troy is undermanned. Our guy Scott Watkins from the Sun Herald put it out there. He was surprised that everybody had picked Troy. I didn't, right? That was the one I rolled. That was the one shocking one. I think I picked them 6th, right? 6th. I think I picked them to finish right above ULM. So it was just too much to overcome. I didn't realize all the defense is going to be the issue too. And they just don't have offense. And now they don't have Goose Crowder, who was pretty good offensively, but he's got a banged up shoulder. So we'll see the next time that he plays. But, it's always nice to go into the weekend with a win, both for Texas State and the FanDuel account, if you will. So 38-17. I guess I just wish it was a little bit crisper, a little bit cleaner. I know the other team is trying to. I get that. I'm the first one to admit it. It just felt like Texas State wasn't as focused, and then they're trying to run up the score at the end of the ball game. I'm not a big fan of that. I understand the whole trying to stop it. That's your job. And they threw an interception, which I guess is, well-deserved. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll continue to preview and what we did yesterday, week 6 in the Sun Belt. We will do that right after I tell you about FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Off to the races. Did and put a little bit more down on Texas State. So happy about that. I did win on that one. I just don't think Troy is very good, and they may not get another win until they play Southern Miss. There are some games to bet in the NFL. There are some ones to bet. We'll go over those. Well, you can check those out on your own, but there are some good lines that I saw that seemed a little strange. I'm not touching that Chiefs-Saints ball game. Not touching it. 5.5 for the Chiefs. Not touching it. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Let's go over again. Well, you do have this big matchup. We've talked about opportunities. And, the Cajuns took advantage of their opportunity last week against Wake. Georgia State took advantage of their opportunity against Vanderbilt, and JMU took advantage of their opportunity against Carolina. Now, Monroe has an opportunity, and that line, can I tell you, has gone down since yesterday. It was 17. Monroe was an underdog by 17 points. It's now down to 16. I do find that a little bit interesting. It is on ESPNU. It is a tall task for Monroe. Now, on ESPN.com, they got General Booty as the ULM starting quarterback, and that's not who it's going to be. But you just compare those stats. Barnett has more completions than Booty has attempts. Barnett has thrown for 1,022 yards. I'm not sure that ULM has thrown for 300 yards as a team. 400 yards, 408 yards. General Booty, 241. Their starting quarterback, according to my source, is going to be Aiden Armenta, 8 out of 13, 148 yards. Hunter Herring comes in for those short yardage plays, and he runs the ball mostly. He's got 6 carries. In fact, he's got 6 carries, 14 yards. He's got 1 pass completion for 19 yards. So in 4 ball games, UL Monroe, who's won 3 of them, by the way, and their only loss is to Texas, has 408 yards of passing. Do we go to check what Barnett? Oh, goodness. I mean, has Barnett had that? Do we look at has he thrown for 300 yards yet? Let's see here. He has thrown for 388 yards. He threw for 388 yards against Carolina. Started out a little bit slow. 219 yards against Charlotte, and then the odd 135 yards against Gardner-Webb. That's why nobody saw the 70-point game coming against Carolina for 388 yards, and then 20 out of 28 against Ball State and they've won 3. No, they're 4-0. JMU is 4-0. But again, Barnett has a 388-yard game. ULM has 408 yards total. Again, hasn't happened yet. But if somehow ULM, and I would even take the ball if I win the coin toss. I would even take the ball. Only because I just don't want JMU to get off to a fast start. I have to punch JMU in the mouth a little bit. That may be better defensively. I understand that. But again, it can't be like App State and Clemson where, it's 14-0 5 minutes into the game, because it could get away fast. If somehow ULM can hold them to a field goal or 2 to begin with, maybe get a turnover and score on a short field, because to say it nicely, ULM is offensively challenged right now. They had a great last drive to score a touchdown against Troy, and they did run it down the Trojans' throat. Run it down their throat when they were trying to run out the clock, but they are offensively challenged. This is going to be a tough ball game. It's all about opportunities, and ULM's got one. That is for sure. All right. Again, the line is 16. I'm probably going to stay away from that one. I would think ULM would cover. That's what I think. All right. Everyone, it's going to be a tough spot for Marshall and App State, right? Everyone's going to be rooting for App State. Did see Sean Clark go on Carolina radio, and, they're not sure if they're going to have a home game, right? He's like, all the hotels are taken up by, people who need them and volunteers. And, there's no hotel rooms for either my team, which, again, I'm sure most of us know home teams actually stay in a hotel, and certainly the road team. They have 3 games left. They could play at another stadium if they want to, but it's such a great stadium. But Sean Clark putting it in priorities. Obviously, they have to take care of the town. But could App State, emotionally come together and win this ball game? They just have not played well this season. They really haven't. Last time out, getting blown out by South Alabama. They've had a week off, right? Is that right? To prepare for this one. Yeah, they haven't played. Oh, the Liberty game was canceled because of the storm. Excuse me. The Liberty game was canceled because of the storm. So they didn't play last week. And now they're at Marshall. They have 2 road games in a row. Their next home game isn't until the 26th of October. So we'll see if they can host at that point in time. Obviously, it's going to be an emotional experience. And I'm sure Marshall is going to do everything that they can to make everybody as comfortable as they can, and raise some money as well, right? We're always there when the other guy is down. All right. So football-wise, Marshall just played their best football game. It'd be inspiring to see App State play well. Obviously, they prefer to win. Let's see if they can play well in this game, because they just have not played well. They had a workman-like deal against ETSU, Eastern Tennessee, 38-10. Maybe they were vanilla. Got blown out by Clemson. They did hold up defensively against East Carolina, and then again embarrassed by South Alabama. I'm going to pick Marshall in this one. A lot of heartstrings there for App State. It's a tough spot for them. We'll see if Marshall can all of a sudden get their season heading in the right direction. All right, we'll come back. I'll wrap up the preview. Can the Cajuns avoid a letdown against Southern Miss? We'll do that right after I tell you about Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. That makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Remember, when you're looking on the app, you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. They will guarantee the lowest price, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, and you get that Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. All right, Dave Schultz, Lockdown Sunbelt, your team every day. Big spot for the Cajuns. They are more than 2 touchdown favorite against Southern Miss, who is hanging on. Will Hall under all kinds of pressure. That has not stopped Southern Miss from beating the Cajuns at least the last couple of years, and it's been a minute since the Cajuns have beaten Southern Miss, right? We go back to Nicky Mullins and Southern Miss beating them in the New Orleans Bowl. That would have been the 5th out of 6 seasons that Hudspeth had taken the team to the New Orleans Bowl specifically, but to a bowl game. But the Cajuns have to win this ball game, right? And you can't have that expectations, right? Because Southern Miss is not very good, right? Quarterback wise, they're not very good. Offensive line, they're not very good. And the Cajuns offense is good. Cajuns offense is good. They did much better against Wake going down the field than I saw them when they were going against Tulane, when they were going across the field. They got some talent, and they got a shot to have one of those seasons. I think they do. Again, it was 14.5 right when we looked at it yesterday. Let's see what it is. Is that what it still is? Oh, no. It's now 16.5. Wow, that's moved. That's a lot. It says it opened here at 15.5. It was 14.5 yesterday when we did the show. I'm pretty sure. But, I mean, the Cajuns should win this ball game. That's a big spread. Still like the Cajuns in this one. We'll see. I mean, obviously, I'm a big fan of the Fighting Will Halls. It's a tough spot. As I think I mentioned this yesterday, as Kevin Foote mentioned, writes for the Acadiana Advocate, the Cajuns were on a roller coaster last year. You want to get off that roller coaster, you got to win this ball game. This is a team you haven't beaten in forever. You're better than this team. You're getting healthier. You're going to miss a couple of guys because of the targeting penalties in the first half, but that should not prevent you from scoring anyways. This should be, I don't say an easy ball game, but it should be a win for the Raging Cajuns. Again, I'm not really high on that 16.5 point line. I was liking it closer to 14 because now you got to have to win by 17. But this should be a blowout victory for the Cajuns. Nonetheless, Southern Miss has been a bugaboo for UL, and we will see how that turns out. All right, elsewhere in the Sun Belt, got a handful of teams that are off. Yeah, Coastal Carolina hosting Old Dominion. That's a 5-point spread. That should be a win for Coastal Carolina, although we're not sure because, I mean, they played Virginia. I'm not sure how good Virginia is, and they got blown out by Virginia. And the rest of the schools they had beaten were not that great. Old Dominion, heartbreaking, right? They could really be, like 3-1. Yeah, they could be 3-1. Instead, they're 1-3. They went on the road and beat Bowling Green. Can they go on the road and beat Coastal Carolina? I would take Coastal Carolina in that one. This line is dropped just a half a point. Thought South Alabama was 3.5. It's 3. A little bit interesting here that South Alabama with the two big wins, one over App State in Boone, I should mention, all of a sudden is favored on the road against Arkansas State. I find that interesting. Jalen Rayner maybe having that sophomore slump. South Alabama has played very well. They're coming off a loss to LSU. So they, can't be cocky after that happens. I would take South Alabama in this one, but it is a battle of two true sophomore quarterbacks, Gio Lopez and Jalen Rayner. So, and then you have Fluff Bothwell, who's just having an amazing season. What is he averaging per carry still? Oh, his average is, hold on. Career stats, he's averaging 8 yards a carry. That's outstanding. It's a true freshman. And not to start this, but I will. I mean, South Alabama. Does South Alabama need to be concerned with keeping Gio Lopez and Fluff Bothwell? It is unfortunately the times we live in. I'm sure I'm not the first one to think of that. Yeesh. All right. Elsewhere, that's about it. Oh, that's it. All right. That Texas State and Troy played. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ball games. All right. So a couple of teams are off. You do get that. Georgia State and Georgia Southern are off. That makes it easy to figure that one out. You do have some good games, and Sunbelt was on national TV on Thursday. I'm not sure it's a great look. I'm not sure how many people were watching when it was 38-17 in the last minute and a half, but we'll see if we get some quotes from Jared Parker or G.J. Kinney following the game. Again, the game was never in doubt. I would have just liked to see Texas State play a little bit cleaner of a ball game, and you certainly don't have to be throwing it into the end zone up 38-17 with 30 seconds left to go. It was third down, take a knee. Clock's going to run out on fourth down. You don't even have to kick it. Just take the knee. All right. Thank you so much. We got the shorts going during the day, the shorts videos. We'll set another record in September for views on the channel. So I really appreciate it. We're almost up to 1525. We'll probably surpass that by a Monday. Hopefully we'll get some over the weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for your support. Really appreciate it. I am your host, Dave Schultz. You've been watching and listening to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Enjoy the football, everyone. Have a safe and fun weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday.